Credit Management Association of the Philippines Incorporated presents CMAP Podcast with your host, Grace Tin Magpantay Magsayo.
Magandang araw sa lahat! Ako po ulit si Grace at welcome to CMAP Podcast. Alam kong excited na kayo na makilala ang guest natin for today. So without further ado, let's introduce our guest. He is currently the Vice President and Consultant of Royal Asia Appraisal Company. He's a retired credit manager with expertise in property appraisal and credit investigation. Has handled the property appraisal and credit investigation division of Metrobank with the position of First Vice President until his retirement last March 15, 2022. He has more than 30 years experience with several banks within the credit unit handling property appraisal. He's still active in conducting seminar on real estate appraisal and credit investigation with several banks and financial institutions. It's an honor po. Please welcome Sir Elmer Rivera.
Hello! Good evening everyone and thank you for that warm introduction.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So, kwentuhan nyo naman po kami. Kamusta po ang buhay ng isang...
Retired?
Opo.
Well, I'm still enjoying my retirement but nevertheless, actually, hindi naman ako huminto talaga, no? Because as you have mentioned, I'm a consultant now of a real estate firm and I still do a lot of seminars, especially with the Rural Bankers Association of the Philippines and other institutions. And from time to time, I also do my own appraisal with some banks that hired me as their external appraiser.
Okay, sir.
So, it's not a total stop on my part, no? I mean, some change lang ng schedule.
Okay, sir.
I had my own time now.
No po. Thank you so much, sir. Grabe. We're happy for you po. Dahil finally, you're free.
I'm free.
Okay, sir. Alright, so yung topic natin for today would be common pitfalls and challenges in credit appraisal. I know na ang dami nating matututunan from Sir Elmer. Yan, sir. Let's start na po.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so sir, could you start by explaining the importance of an accurate, relevant appraisal report and what are the basic steps in a traditional credit appraisal?
Well, I'll be speaking in behalf of financial institution because this is credit management, no? So I'm sure most of the appraisers are from banks and other financial institutions or those companies na handling or giving credit probably. So I'll be doon ako manggagaling, no? Not as an external appraiser. Okay. So anyway, we all know that especially for financial institutions na one of the key objective of course ng financial institution, siyempre kumita, no? So kumikita yung mga banko and other financial institutions through lending. Hindi kumikita yan sa deposit yung banko, nagpapautang yan, right? So when we talk of lending, yun ngayon papasok yung credit process. So nandun na yung credit evaluation wherein they determine the credit worthiness of their clients, no? Using the tools in credit, which is yung mga 5 C's of credit, if you know, yung mga capacity na yan, conditions. And one of the important C's of credit nowadays is yung collateral. So when we talk now of collateral, naturalmente, kailangan may marunong at magaling mag-evaluate ng mga collateral. There are a lot of types of collateral, no? Meron tayong back-to-back loan deposits, meron tayong mga chattel mortgages, no? Mga chattels, machinery and equipment. Meron tayong securities. But most of the banks, they have in their securities, no? To secure their credit exposures, real estate collaterals. So, ganun ka-importante yung appraisal because dapat, no? Very accurate at marunong talaga yung gumagawa niyan. Or else, the collateral, because sa credit, ang sinasabi ng collateral, mitigant ng risk yan. No? So, it's the second way out. It mitigates all credit risk. And it becomes a mitigant if the collateral, especially for liquid assets like real estate properties, were evaluated and valued correctly. Pag hindi, it does not become a mitigant anymore. Akala natin we are secured by a collateral na maganda, yung pala hindi naman. So dapat marunong yung gumawa ng appraisal na yan. So that's how important your collateral is. And then of course, it goes na, especially now, many just realized after yung COVID, Before that, siguro, yung mga collateral natin, minsan wala nang collateral, clean facility, or minsan, partially secured lang, After the COVID, wherein tumaas yung past due level natin and non-performing loans, they realize how important our collateral is. Kaya now, karamihan ng nagpapautang ay talagang secured by a collateral yan. Kaya napaka-importante ng role ng appraiser, magandang appraisal report para masabi natin na talagang secure yung ating mga loans.
Okay, sir.
Ay, napaka-importante yan.
Alright, sir. Yeah. So, ano po yung example, sir, nung sinasabi nyo na hindi naman pala magandang collateral or it's not a mitigant po?
For example, kasi yung appraiser ng isang bangko, ang nagagaling collateral, it goes beyond an ordinary appraiser. Kasi yung ordinary appraiser parang babayuhan lang yung property and that's it. Pero yung role ng appraiser, if you are in a financial institution, in a bank, for example, na you're getting those properties as security to a loan, it goes beyond an ordinary appraiser. Kailan gumawa ka ng maraming research? Nagsisimula yan sa you make sure that yung title, the rights over the property ay maayos, so i-research mo yun. You make sure that the property appraising the same property na nakasaad doon sa title na binigay sa iyo. Number 3, you make sure that yung valuation mo is correct. Talaga na-analyze mo ng tama. Kasi pag hindi mo nagawa lahat yun, minsan, akala ng bangko mayroon sila magandang collateral, pero yun pala, wala naman talaga silang pinangahawakan na magandang collateral. Kasi, hindi nagawa ng appraisal. Dapat niyang gawin. Ayan. So,
may times ba, sir, na hindi siya nagagawa? Tas,
yes. Yeah. Especially kung yung appraiser, yung hindi niya alam yung role niya talaga sa organization, na akala yung trabaho niya simple lang na, alam mo na he doesn't value his work because akala niya simple lang yung trabaho niya for documentation purposes lang, something like that. So all those things ay nakakalimutan niyang gawin. So nagkakagulatan na lang in the end because the objective really ng mga appraiser sa financial institution, you make sure that if the client cannot pay his obligation, make sure na marirecover natin yung exposure natin through the collateral. So nagkakagulatan sa huli, kapag yung magpo-foreclose ka na ng asset as collateral, nandun na yung mali pala yung pinpointing, yung palang value ng property, na overvalue ng appraiser, or there was an issue of possession and control on that property. So, doon nangyayari yung mga bagay-bagay na yan.
Common din siya, sir, kahit sa malaking bangko or ano lang po siya, sa maliliit na organization?
No, common yan. May it be a small organization or financial or even big banks. Kaya magugulat ka na akala natin, siyempre pag big banks, they are well trained. Pero at the end of the day, sometimes, nangyayari mga bagay-bagay.
Na-oversee po.
Na-oversee, na-overlook ng mga appraisers.
Okay, sir. Thank you po for that introduction.
Yeah.
Let's go po to the common mistakes in credit appraisal since nabanggit nyo na po.
Sure.
Opo.
Well, I've seen mistakes, number 1 na common na nagiging mistakes ng appraiser, especially if it's not really technically skilled or capable in doing yung types of appraisal is that minsan nahihirapan siya yung pag-identify ng property. Kasi unlike in an external appraisal company wherein may mga limitations siya na sa kanila kung ano lang ituro ng client, they presume that that is the property. Tapos nakalagay sa limiting conditions nila na we assume that whatever property shown by the client is the one really subject of appraisal. But in the bank, you cannot do that. Make sure that whatever documents you have whatever the property being described in the title, you make sure that the same property that you will appraise. I've seen a lot of erroneous appraisal wherein when the bank is now foreclosing the property and they requested for a relocation survey of the property, nagkagulatan na kasi for so many years na ina-appraise, hindi pala yun ang nakasaad dun sa title na nakapasok sa bago. So that is a mistake yun. And pag nagkamali ka na dun, automatic your valuation now will be something like erroneous na valuation. Kasi mali-mala yung property yung binamaluhan mo.
Okay,
so, common mistake yan, location pinpointing. In fact, simple cardinal direction lang. I conduct lots of seminar. Minsan simple north, south, east, west, northeast, something like that. Aba, hindi private yung mga appraiser. Nagugulat ako. So, paano kaya kayo nakakapag-locate ng property if you don't even know yung mga simple cardinal direction? Dapat alam mo yun. Your northeast, where your southeast, something like that. Na medyo technical to.
Ano pong consequence niya dun sa appraiser if, oh my gosh, mali pala yung...
Wala. They will just rely on kung ano ituro nung client nila. Na ito yung property pinapa-appraise ko. So, hindi na nila iba-validate yun. So, there is no pro na baka mali yun. Because it's not that the client talagang sinasadya naman na imali. Sometimes yung clients, dami ng property na pag-aari niya. Minsan hindi na rin niya alam kung alin yung pinapa-appraise sa'yo. So, they rely now on the technical capability of the appraiser to pinpoint the property na described in the title na hawak niya.
Okay, sir.
So, number one.
So, parang may skills na din po siya ng geodetic engineer.
Correct, oo. Kailangan may skills ka. Kaya may mga techniques naman yan eh. How you can locate and you can pinpoint the property. So, meron sa mga training tinuturo yan.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so number one yan, napaka-crucial yan to locate and pinpoint the property. Second mistake or karamihan nakikita ko is on the valuation itself, no? Yung pagbabali ng property. You know, very challenging dito sa Pilipinas kung paano ka maglaasay ng value to a property. You know why? Because we don't have databases of properties sold in the market, especially in the second-hand market. Wala tayong website na ganun.
Okay.
Di mo alam kung alin ang nabebenta at magkano. Always, unlike in the other countries, no, meron silang database. Lahat ng sales, abay nasa database nila. So that's why if you are an appraiser, you just look at on those database, see if there are recent sales, transacted sales in an area, then you can use it as a very concrete basis in your valuation. But in the Philippines, wala. You can only see internet listings of properties being offered for sale. So, there are a lot of process to be done pag gano'n ng mga data, especially if your data is distorted. You know, when I say distorted data, ang lalaki ng gap ng mga range ng values na for sale properties.
Okay po.
So, talagang very challenging sa appraiser. How will you process all those data? Kasi kanya-kanyang taguan ng data dito. Alam mo naman, it's a common, hindi nila dinilibol sa totoong presyo because of some capital gains tax, etc. That's why napakahirap, very challenging yung valuation. So, common mistakes ng appraiser because of a limited data minsan or the distorted data, definitely it will affect your ability to do proper evaluation. Especially kung hindi pa masyadong skilled yung appraiser mo.
Okay po.
So, kaya kasi nung time na nagre-review ako ng mga report, I see a lot of mali-maling analysis. Okay, so...
How do you go around that po?
Well, kailangan, number one, dapat marunong talaga yung mga supervisor mo na nagre-review ng appraisal report. Para nakikita nila how the method or the valuation method was done by the appraiser. And tinitingnan nila every process along the way kung tama yung mga analysis. No, so you should have a very reliable checker. Diba? To validate all those data na ginawa ng appraiser mo. And so, anyway, isa ring problema is yung mga appraiser kasi natin, very limited din yung alam nila pagdating sa valuation. Kasi maraming, kung babasahin mo yung book about standards in valuation, no? Maraming approaches yan, maraming methodology. But it's sad to say that almost all the appraisers dito sa atin, napakasimple at napakababaw lang ng alam nila pagdating sa appraisal. But what I mean is that they just rely on internet listings, no? Tapos, based on that internet listings lang, wala, they now conclude a value of the property. Minsan nga, in worst case scenario, they rely on other data from kapwa appraisers or broker, mga hearsay lang, or mga speculative data, then they can conclude the value. You know, when if you read standards in valuation, wala yung mga ganun. So,
ano pong governing body, sir, yung responsible po? Kunyari po, are they planning to build a database or?
Now, supposedly, meron tayong Philippine Valuation Standard, which is galing din yan sa International Valuation Standards, no? So, if you read the book, no, meron lalabas ngayong January 31 na IVS. Maraming standards na nakalagay doon on how you go around property valuation. Pero one of the things that we must do now, talagang napaka-important talaga yung database. And I think there is a law, no, yung Real Estate Service Act law. I think they have improved the law now that the law now requires, no, na lahat ng sales data ilagay sa isang malaking database. And I hope the government will do that para magkaroon tayo ng isang website where we can view all the transacted sales. No? Lalo na dun sa second-hand market. Napakahirap ng data na yan.
Yes, sir. Tsaka may mga unreported din, walang broker, di ba, sir?
Yes, correct. So, yun ang challenges pagdating sa appraisal.
Okay, sir. Thank you po. I think nasagot nyo naman po yung mistakes and how it affects yung overall lending process. Meron po ba kayong gustong i-add?
Well, definitely, no? Kapag mali-mali ang valuation mo when you don't have a very credible report, it will definitely affect yung lending process natin. Why? Because if reliable yung data mo or yung reliable appraisal mo and you give a value to a property, tapos akala nung mga approver sa institution fully secured yung loan nila, so merong mga approver yan. Pero kung overvalued, for example, mali ang value ng property na yung palang isang property ay maliit lang ang value na supposedly yung collateral mo is yung loan mo is only partially secured, it goes to another set of approving authority sa bangko. So, it affects the whole credit process. Especially dun sa pag-evaluate the creditworthiness. Kasi as much as possible, they want na yung loan is really 100% fully secured. So, kung at the start, hindi reliable yung report mo, akala mo fully secured nga yung loan mo, pero yung pala hindi. Mali naman pala yung valuation mo. No? So, it will affect the credit process. Ang impact niyan sa huli. Because you will be penalized, no? Remember na kapag meron kang mga, for example, foreclosed assets sa bangko na nasa libro ng bangko at hindi mo maibenta yan dahil mali nga yung valuation, for example, masyado mataas, walang gustong bumili. At the end of the day, you will be penalized by the Bangko Sentral.
Sino po yung client po or yung
BSP will penalize you for all those yung mga hindi mabenta. Those properties in your books that you cannot sell. Every year you will be penalized with it.
The bank po
The
will
bank
be penalized.
Itself. So it will definitely affect yung bottom line ng bangko.
Okay,
then
sir.
may provisioning kayo.
Okay, sir. So, curious lang po ako, over the years, di ba sir, yan nga po yung nagiging problem. Paano po nag-improve inside the institutions po yung appraisal nila if ganyan po yung nagiging problem?
So, number one, definitely, yung training is very important. So, especially if you identify yung mga errors in the report, if you identify yung mistakes na yan. So all you have to do is to discuss all those errors in, not only dun sa appraisal na gumawa, but doon sa buong appraisal unit mo. So that you will not repeat the same, or if you encounter the same problem, alam mo na kung paano gagawin, no? And do a lot of training. Alam mo itong appraisal is a continuing learning ito. No? You don't stop na ngayon, akala mo magaling ka na. I'm sure definitely paglabas mo, makaka-encounter ka ng ibang klaseng properties, mga property na medyo komplikado ang itsura. So it's a continuing learning process. That's why trainings and seminars very important para tuloy-tuloy din yung yung skills mo. Make sure na you can use skill also because definitely yung experience mo is the best teacher, di ba?
Opo.
So kailangan tuloy-tuloy lang yung learning process na yan. And well, during that time, no, meron suppose kaming number one is yung very important na we must create really database. Nasimulan na namin yun before with the BAP, Bankers Association of the Philippines, wherein all our data, appraised data, no, from internal and external sources are put in a data, then we can look at those data every time we do an appraisal. Unfortunately, na-stuck yun. Kaya, to improve also yung ating appraisal, siguro, I would suggest, no, kayo dyan, na mga nag-appraise pa, ako retire na kayo dyan. I suggest you create a database of, hindi lang yung mga in-appraise sa property, kundi yung mga nabenta nyo na property. Magandang source yung talagang nagkaroon ka ng actual na sales data. And then you create a database. Lahat ng institution na nagbebenta ng property, sa bangko, foreclosed asset, whatever, the source, no? Maglagay ka ng malaking database. You all contribute to that database. Tapos lahat kayo, para bang you are a submitting entity, you are also an accessing entity. Parang
sa CIMA po.
Parang sa CIMA, parang sa sa CIC, Credit Information Corp, di ba?
Yes, sir.
You are a submitting and accessing entity. So, if you have those data, sales data and appraised value na nakalagay dyan sa mga database na yan, malaking bagay yan to start with a more improved valuation process.
Yes, sir. Calling the policymakers.
Calling the policymakers, please. Ayun.
Sir, meron po kayong i-add pa na common pitfall po or mistakes? Bukod po dun sa dalawa niyo pong na-mention?
Yung mga peculiarities ng properties, no, isa rin yan, minsan nakakalimutan ng mga appraiser. Very important sa appraisal yung remarks ng appraiser, yung mga anong na-notice niya dun sa property na in-appraise niya that can affect yung possession and control of the property. Kasi you can have title with your bank, no? Nasa iyo yung tulo, pero hindi mo naman pala ma-possess and control yung property for one reason or the other. For example, hindi na i-report, for example, ng appraiser na meron parang informal settlers. Meron din na i-report ng appraiser na meron parang long-term tenant dun sa property. So, while you have the title, you cannot possess and control the property. In the meantime, wala kang magawa. Nasa ila yung title pero hindi mo ma-possess yung property. Nakakalimutan ng appraiser yun. Number two, in terms of marketability, minsan hindi na i-report ng appraiser yung availability ng mga public roads leading to the site. No? Road right of way. So very crucial yan. Kasi paano ka makakarating sa property kung wala kang established na public road going to the site.
Yes po.
So sometimes, pag nakita lang nung appraiser that nakarating siya dun sa site, akala niya may right of way property, pero hindi niya na-research maigi na yung pala.
Wala po.
Wala palang road right of way, private road pa rin dinadaanan niya. So those are mga common mistakes na nangyayari pagdating sa appraisal.
Grabe, ang dami po palang kailangan aralin. Opo. Meron pa po kayong i-add, sir?
Well, as of now, okay.
Okay po, sir. Overcoming challenges in obtaining accurate credit information. What are some challenges appraisers face when gathering reliable credit information about borrowers?
About borrower, parang pinag-usapan natin dito, credit investigation na to eh. Well, some appraisers are also the credit investigators of a company. No? Well, if you are talking about credit information, no? Yung mga challenges pagdating sa credit information, no? Kung we are talking of CI, yung yung client mismo, no, hindi nagdi-disclose ng mga information about himself, no? Or napakahirap mag-research sa mga financial institution regarding credit dealings of the client with other banks kasi because of the data privacy act, no? Meron tayong natatakot sila na baka balikan sila ng client pag nagbigay sila ng information. Kaya napaka-challenging yan na mga bagay-bagay na yan, no? So, kaya dapat matinik yung matinik yung nag-handle ng investigation na dapat meron siyang other ways and means, no? That's why meron naman mga credit bureaus.
Opo.
Kung hindi ka mag-gather mismo direkta sa borrower, so you can use credit bureaus naman. Meron tayong TransUnion, may CRIF tayo, may CIBI. You can get a lot of credit information. So on the CI side, no? If you're now talking of sa appraisal naman, kung ano mga challenges na makakuha ka ng information of about the property. Actually, available naman yung information yan. Depende lang sa galing ng appraiser, how persistent yung appraiser mo and sa pagkukuha ng mga data. Because data and inputs, no, is very crucial sa pagbabalyo ng property. Kapag yung appraiser hindi alam mag-gather ng mga data and inputs na yan, he cannot make a very good appraisal report. When I talk of data and inputs, you need to know a lot of things about the property you're appraising. Ano mga restrictions, for example, diyan sa property na yan. Ano yung gamit ng property? Baka may mga limitations lang sa paggagamit ng property. For example, I will tell you, in Bonifacio Global City or central business districts like Makati, BGC, kapag yung appraiser mo hindi magaling na mag-research, maliligaw siya pagdating sa valuation dyan. You know why? Because in central business districts, may mga restrictions sa mga property. Kaya di mo napapansin merong isang property na may 50-story building, minsan naman hanggang 20-story building. Kasi may mga restrictions yan. We call that assigned floor area ratio. They do that para ma-limit yung volume ng density, no? Volume ng mga tao pupunta dun sa area. Kasi kung lahat yan 50-story building, can you just imagine ilang taong pupunta sa BGC? Hindi kaya ng infrastructure. Internet, public conveyances, security. So what they do, naglalagay sila ng restrictions
po, ng urban planning.
Yes. So, kinokontrol nila yung density. So, ngayon, kung di marunong yung appraiser, na basta na lang di niya alam yung mga ganung klaseng research, no? Wala. Basta lang magagather lang siya ng mga data ng for sale dyan without knowing na may mga restriction pala yung bawat lupa niya. Definitely maliligaw na siya pagdating sa valuation. Kasi minsan, dalawang lote na magkatabi, for example, adjacent lots. One lot can have a value of say 1,400,000 or 1,500,000 per square meter. Pero yung katabi, dingding lang pagitan. It can cost only about 800,000, half of the price. So because of some restrictions.
Okay, sir.
So yung mga challenges din sa appraiser na minsan hindi sila nakakapag-research, di man lang nila tinanong yung kliyente, may restriction po ba dito, etc. Or they did not do that due diligence.
In cases po na kulang yung data, what alternative methods or sources do you suggest to obtain accurate information?
Okay, sa appraisal, no? True enough, no, yung scarcity of data is one of the problems in appraisal, no? Because hindi lahat available for sale or sales record, right? So you're now dealing with a very limited information, no? Scarcity of data, just limited data. Now, remember that in appraisal, no, there are several methods and there are several approaches to value. Kung kulang ang data mo on, for example, on properties being offered for sale as your source for value your property, wala yung mga data rin, for example. Meron ibang pwedeng gawin dyan. You can get other sources like rental, income, the property. Using that income, capitalizing it, you can derive a value. Yun ang kulang sa mga appraiser, no? Kapag nawalan sila ng data din sa sales or listings on property for sale in that area, wala na. Hindi na nila alam kung anong gagawin. So, I would say, mga appraiser, na dapat, remember, there are 3 approaches to value. Yung laging alam lang natin, market data or sales comparison approach, no? Pero meron mo tayong cost and income approach to value. So, that means, depende sa availability and how reliable your data is, you can choose from any of the approaches to value. Kaya nagkakaproblema minsan yung mga appraiser kasi akala nila, lagi lang market data or sales comparison approach ang approach to value. Remember, meron pang dalawa. So, you go to other data kung anong available dyan. Then you use. Kaya dapat, the technical knowledge of the appraiser is very important. The concept itself of the appraisal, dapat alam na mo yan. Kasi hindi lahat ng data lagi available dyan.
Okay.
Yan mga weaknesses ng market data na ginagamit nila. When you have a very scarce or there's no reliable data available anymore. So, weakness yun.
Ano yung nangyayari doon, sir? Parang missing data lang po ang nangyayari.
Hindi missing data, minsan wala talaga. So, ang ginagawa ng mga appraisers sometimes, they just ask fellow appraisers, magkano opinion ng value mo dyan sa area, or may kilala silang broker, magkano more or less ang... So, they rely on the opinion of others para maka-conclude sila ng valuation.
Okay.
Wala sa standards yan. Inputs lang yan, but you cannot really rely on that. No? So, unless na meron na talagang reliable data that you can verify.
Okay, sir. To add po, are there any tools or strategies that you recommend to improve information accuracy in appraisals?
Well, as I've said kanina, yung pag-create ng database, very important yun. Na magkaroon kayo ng malaking database on sales record, properties that were appraised, yan, dapat meron pang database. Tapos, it is very important na yung skills ng appraiser, talagang well-trained siya to do yung mga appraisal na yan. Na maroon kaagad siyang tumingin ng other techniques in valuation. Kasi kung very limited lang din ang alam niya sa appraisal, no? I can say na medyo yung kanyang analysis masyadong raw yan. Masyadong mababaw yung kanyang analysis. So, it is very important na technically capable lang siya ng appraiser to do that. Attend ka ng seminar, ng training sa appraisal.
Yes. Bukod po dun sa nabanggit nyo kanina tungkol po sa yung hihingi ng opinion, what factors pa po are most likely to introduce bias into the credit appraisal process?
Well, nagkakaroon tayo ng bias opinion in appraisal kapag ang valuation natin na-influensya ng external factors like yung client itself. Kapag minsan yung client will offer you something, no? Tapos tinanggap mo naman, magkakaroon ka ng bias na opinion mo, or you are pressured by your superiors. No? For example, yung boss mo or whoever na higher than you in the institution, medyo pressure ka to give a value na mukhang sa tingin mo, hindi naman yun ang value. Kaya lang, hindi ka makareklamo dahil boss mo siya. So definitely, biased opinion yan, definitely. Yan ang mangyayari sa'yo.
Paano daw?
Meron kang, wala na yung objectivity pagdating dun sa iyong analysis.
How do you minimize that daw po, sir?
Well, number one, para ma-minimize mo yung biased opinion na yan, very important yung checker and maker. Na yung appraiser, siya nag-appraise, nag-inspect ng property, then siya yung maker, then meron kang checker. So makikita ngayon ng checker mo kung medyo bias yung opinion mo dahil nakikita niyo yung the process or the data that you have, tapos bigla ka nag-conclude ng value na parang wala yata sa data mo yan, off sa data mo. So yung checker mo dapat magaling din. Somebody na experience pagdating sa valuation sa appraisal. Now, in terms naman dun sa ang pressure na nagagaling mismo sa loob ng institution na nape-pressure ka ng superior mo or yung somebody na senior, very senior in your institution. Well, I would say na for as long as, anyway, ang appraisal naman is an opinion of value, right? So it's not an exact valuation. So for as long as you are within that range, no? So meron naman minimum and maximum value yan eh. So kung kahit magkaroon ng bias, basta nandun ka lang sa within the minimum and maximum, no? So you're still good.
Okay,
Yun na lang. Basta huwag kang lalabas dun sa sobra-sobra na sa hinihingi.
Opo. Okay, sir. Thank you po. When it comes to technology, how does the use of AI and machine learning impact objectivity in credit appraisals? Does it help reduce or potentially add biases po?
Hindi naman. Actually, yung AI doon, especially sa mga automation, if you have a very reliable database, yung AI or yung sa automation process, yung AI helps you na, ginagay ka kaagad yan eh. Para bang, kung meron ka database at tinayin mo lang yung the area or location of the property na ina-appraise mo, yung AI can give you many data already. Ito yung mga na-appraise mo dati, sinasabi sa'yo. So, pero at the end of the day, the judgment still rely on the appraiser. It will just guide you, no? Pero yung final judgment relies on the skills of the appraiser.
So,
pero na-shortcut na yung iba. Instead na maghahanap ka, si AI na naganap sa'yo, eto na yung mga data na pwede mong tignan. O bahala ka nang tumingin dyan at make your conclusion. So, yun na.
So, hindi po i-replace ng AI ang mga appraiser?
Hindi, kasi hindi naman siya nag-respect ng property.
Opo.
Oo nga po. Yung property, hindi pare-parehas yan eh. So, it's still reliable pa rin yung nakakita mismo ng property.
Tama, sir. Grabe. Ang daming ganun, di ba, sir, na AI will replace, ang daming pong i-replace. Kaso, hindi rin naman po.
Hindi naman talaga.
Opo.
Makakatulong lang, but not all the works will be AI.
Replace po. Thank you, sir. For our last topic, practical tips for credit appraiser. What advice would you give to new credit appraisers for building strong, unbiased credit profiles?
Well, number one, if you really want to make appraisal as your profession, I would say that number one, napaka-importante yung technical skills natin. Mag-aral kayo ng real estate management. No? So, kung sabi ko nga, if you are a graduate, may bachelor's degree ka na, hindi naman 4 years, supposedly 4-year course na, pero it will just take you probably 2 years, no? Though, dun sa school, more on theory ang tinuturo, pero since kung appraiser ka na rin ng bangko, marunong ka na sa field at nag-aaral ka pa ng theory sa school, say, it's now an advantage. Number two, aside dun sa mga tinuturo sa eskwelahan, meron mga external trainings na hindi tinuturo sa eskwelahan. Yun, nagugulat ako minsan na yung mga nakagraduate ng revenue. In fact, these are licensed appraisers already. So when I conduct my seminar or training on actual appraisal nito, ito yung mga ginagawa natin because all my case analysis are actual appraisals that I made. So, nagugulat ako na parang di namin tinuro sa amin yan. Ganun during our term then when they attend the schooling sa BSREM. So, that's why it is very important that even if you graduated from BSREM naman, you still attend trainings ng actual application of what you learned doon sa school. Number one yan. And number two, give value to your work. Napaka-importante yan. At the onset, the time na pumasok ka sa isang institution to become an appraiser, dapat yung nag-train sa'yo or nag-welcome sa'yo sa institution, binibigay yung kahalagaan ng trabaho as an appraiser. Kasi yung iba, they forget the importance of the appraiser in the organization. So, akala ng appraiser, ganun-ganun lang yung trabaho niya. Pero the importance of the work of an appraiser, hindi na-inject dun sa tao mismo. So, it is very important that you should know the role of the appraiser in the organization. How important yung kanyang report. How will it impact dun sa organization mismo. Number 3, very important, yung integrity. No, make sure na yung mga appraiser natin dyan, hindi mag-question yung integrity niya pagdating sa paggagawa ng report. It should be really an objective report. Walang, sabi mo nga, walang biased opinion. Kasi once na you lose that, sabi natin, integrity issue, lahat ng future appraisal report mo, magda-doubt na sa iyo yung mga recipient kung talaga bang ito ba yung ayos ba yung report nito, baka naman ito na-influensya ng kung sino-sino, something like that. So the value of integrity is very important for yung appraiser. Never na ma-question yung integrity issue na yan.
Thank you, sir. For our last question, with the evolving landscape of credit appraisal, what skills or knowledge areas do you think will be essential for future appraisers?
Well, having technical knowledge or technical graduate of well, I would say engineering economics graduate is an advantage sa appraisal, no? Especially if you are a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer or electrical and economics graduate. Kasi maraming analysis appraisals requires technical skills din. No? Computation, remember, disevaluation, so maraming computations yan. But the most important thing is yung konsepto mismo ng appraisal. The principles behind the appraisal. Dapat kabisado ka, not only by heart, no, but in practice also, you know all the principles behind. Because every time you make an appraisal, every time you make your methodology evaluation, every time you apply an approaches to value, there's always a principle behind it. So you should know all those principles, no? Kasi yung mga appraiser, hindi nila alam ang principles of valuation. Kaya pag tinanong mo siya about the value, wala sa may explain. So if you know the principles behind every valuation that you make, hindi ka mawawala. Kahit anong klaseng property, for as long as you know the concept and the principle behind it, then you're good.
Yay. Thank you so much, sir. Mag-plug po kayo ng inyong seminars or...
Thank you so much. So, I think there are seminars and trainings na available, no? I think CMAP is, I think this November 27 or 28, no? Meron supposedly training and seminars on credit appraisals. Sana you attend because ito mo sinabi ko, mga tips lang ito, pero yung actual applications na you will hear me in the seminar na kung paano in-apply yung mga skills na yan, no? So that you'll become a very good appraiser. I'm sure because that is my advocacy now. I'm already a retired appraiser. So my advocacy now is to transfer all my knowledge. Kayo naman ang mga bagets dyan na nagsisimula pa lang. I want you, no? Yun ang advocacy ko ngayon na sana lahat ng natutunan ko sa appraisal, lahat ng alam ko, ma-transfer ko rin sa inyo through itong mga trainings and seminars. Please attend.
Yay! There you have it. Thank you so much po, Sir Elmer Rivera.
Thank you so much.
Ayan. Again, this is Grace. See you next episode here in CMAP Podcast.
Thank you, Grace.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
CMAP Podcast is brought to you by Credit Management Association of the Philippines Incorporated. For more episodes and announcements, follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.